So welcome to the second part of this lecture. In this part, we will focus on the method of heuristic evaluation. So what is a heuristic evaluation? Heuristic evaluation is a usability engineering method which is used to identify usability problems in user interface and then subsequently improve them as part of an iterative design process. The method enables us to avoid common mistakes by following basic design principles that experience and testing have demonstrated that they work well. The methodology was developed in 1990 after Nielsen and Molly have evaluated hundreds of applications to build up a set of design principles, which are also called heuristics. So heuristic evaluation then involves having a small set of evaluators who examine the interface against these recognized usability principles and judge whether there are any violations and design elements that can be improved, with the ultimate aim, of course, being to improve the overall system's usability. So the process that you will follow is the following. We start by planning, and this is planning of how the method will be applied, and of course providing training to your evaluators if it is necessary. In this stage, you need to select the heuristics that apply to you. For example, if you evaluate e-commerce websites, then you will need heuristics that target e-commerce websites. If you evaluate citizen science applications, then you will need to use heuristics that target citizen science applications, and so on. The process that you will follow, the severity ratings that you will use, and so on. Based on the planning stage, you will develop a protocol, which you will then distribute to all evaluators so that there is some level of consistency in the way the method is applied. And that means that all evaluators go through the same pages, they all use the same heuristics, the same severity rating scales, and they all have the same understanding of what a severity rating means, and so on. Ideally, more than one evaluators examine the interface. Evaluators then inspect the interface against the list of heuristics that were chosen. This is a process that typically lasts for 1 or 2 hours, and a general recommendation is that the evaluators go through the interface at least twice. The first pass would be intended to get a feel of the system and what it does, and the second pass then allows the evaluator to focus on the heuristic evaluation process. The protocol that we developed in the previous steps should include information about this. Each violated heuristic becomes a usability problem, and you usually use a scale from 1 to 5, and you can have cosmetic problems given low priority or higher priority, minor, major problems and usability, catastrophe problems which need to be fixed immediately. Finally, findings are aggregated and a report is usually created. I mentioned severity rating already quite a few times. Nielsen suggests that 3 elements be considered when you assign severity ratings, and these are the frequency, the impact, and persistency of the problems found. So the frequency refers to whether a problem is common or rare, the impact of the problem when it occurs, for example, will it be easy or difficult for the users to overcome it, and the persistence of the problem refers to whether it is a one-time problem that users can overcome once they know about it, or whether the users will repeatedly be bothered by this specific problem. So with respect to the number of evaluators that need to go through the heuristic evaluation process, that is an important consideration because we need to bring some kind of subjectivity, objectivity into the process. And Nielsen, on how to conduct a heuristic evaluation, they did some research on that topic, and they found that usually 3 to 5 evaluators are enough in terms of identifying the majority of the usability problems and ensuring that potential problems were not overlooked by a single evaluator. So many heuristics exist in the literature, which can be used during a heuristic evaluation. We have most popular are the Schneiderman's 8 Golden Rules of Interface Design and Nielsen's 10 Principles of Interface Design. Some heuristics that explicitly refer to the geographic interfaces are by Nivala and Scarlatidou. And we do also have some guidelines, design principles, which focus on citizen science applications. For the full citation of these examples, you can check your slide notes. So just to give you a flavor of what the heuristics look like, I have here Schneiderman's 8 Golden Rules for Interface Design. Again, on your slide notes, you can find the definition of each one of these principles together with examples. Let's look at the first one, strive for consistency. So this one is defined by Schneiderman as follows. Consistent sequences of actions should be required in similar situations. Identical terminology should be used in prompts, menus, and help screens. And consistent commands should be employed throughout. For example, that means that the colors that are being used across the different pages of an application should be consistent. The menu items and other design interface design elements should be standardized. Help screens or error messages should position their main buttons at the same location on each page, and so on. If one of those elements, one of those examples is not followed in the interface design, then this could potentially be a usability problem. Here is another example of Nielsen's heuristics, the interface the golden rules of interface design, which again you can find on your slide notes, a description of each one of those together with examples. Let's look again on the first one, visibility of system status, which Jacob Nielsen defines as the system should always keep users informed about what is going on through appropriate feedback within reasonable time. So what does this mean? When a user interacts with the system in a way that he should wait for something to happen as a response to a specific action, the system should keep the user informed about what it is going on. For example, consider uploading a document on Google Drive or an observation or a set of observations on your citizen science application. The application itself should tell you how long the process will take or what percentage of the task remains to complete. If this is not happening, then that can be perhaps a usability problem that should be improved. Here is another example from error recovery, and that is from the Mailchimp application. And I guess it is something that you have all experienced. In the first case, you enter the wrong username, and in the second example on the right, you enter a wrong password. In the first example where you enter the wrong username, the application recognizes that, and the error message tells you that, sorry, we couldn't find an account with that username. So the user knows that the password perhaps was correct, but he needs to recover the username first. Well, whereas in the second case, the username was correct, and the error message that you get is that, sorry, the password isn't right. So the user knows that he can click on the link to recover your password, and he can recover the password. So it is possible to develop category-specific heuristics that apply to a specific class of products as a supplement to the general heuristics. For example, the previous heuristics that we went through, Nielsen's and Schneiderman's in specific, refer to general websites and did not focus explicitly on websites which also incorporate a mapping component or citizen science applications. So one way of building supplementary list of category-specific heuristics is to perform competitive analysis or do usability user testing of existing applications in the given category and try from that to abstract principles which explain the usability problems that are found. Or another way to deal with that is to use heuristics that can be found in the literature. So we can identify suitable guidelines that will help you identify usability errors that are relevant to your context. And there are some, as I mentioned before, that focus explicitly on geographic interfaces and citizen science applications. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of the method that we just reviewed? So heuristic evaluation can be quick and inexpensive to apply. It can help you obtain early feedback. It can help you identify corrective measures to improve design. It can be used in combination with other methods such as user testing or cognitive walkthrough, as we will see later. And it is easy to train new expert evaluators to perform a heuristic evaluation. On the other hand, the method requires a good understanding and experience, or as we saw, training before it can be performed. Hiring usability experts to do a heuristic evaluation can be quite expensive. More than one expert should be involved in order to obtain reliable results. The majority of the issues that you usually identify with heuristic evaluation are minor. It is not application or system specific, so you need to find heuristics that apply to your context, or the method cannot be used altogether. And there are not obvious fixes. That means that you should still get user feedback on how specific problems could be addressed based on user needs and requirements.